but we don't see the forces behind the face. There is nobody who suffers absentee husband, who goes about causing trouble, not for the welfare and the well-being of the children, but for people who even the wife did not know. So I don't know, Madam, the day, that was the first day I recognized Oro, and I was told this from my part of the country. I saw, already he's a big man, relative to me in terms of size, and then I saw very bulky eye, and I was told he had a very friendly slap, apparently from a soldier who has not been paid for some time. And when I asked, they said he was causing trouble in Lagos, he was organizing protests on the street, even when the military have decreed that, under Decree 2 was it, that if you are picked, no court of law can inquire into it. And Abdoro chose to disobey the law, and he was severely dealt with. And I saw the swollen eye, and I was told this from my area. I'm just wondering, when you go home that day, did you tell your wife that you went to cause trouble by questioning the right of the military to do what they were doing? And if you did, what was her response? I guess she just managed to take you to a hospital because I don't think your eyes were clear enough to be able to find your way. So, in the night, I'm sure you will have to tell your children a story. You see, Daddy is having swollen eye, not because he went to steal in the Dubai market or something, but he said something that, as Babangida will say, he was saying things that he was not supposed to say. Or if he was a teacher, he was teaching what he was not supposed to teach. So I want to congratulate you for standing by Oro, because it can be very lonely for a woman to be on the bed and looking at the other side. The man is in one police station or DSS or military intelligence and what have you. So congratulations. But as you can see, tough times don't last. Tough people do. And that is why Oro is even, in spite of everything, he has both vertical and horizontal advantage. He doesn't even appear to be he has not emaciated because of what he has got through. And he's able to grow white there, which means it's a joy, it's also aging gracefully, is part of all of that. But the first thing I would like to do, and I'm provoked to do this because Nigerians are often guilty of recognizing foreign people who have written or done something that is fascinating, or the thought it does something for Africa. When we quote authors, we prefer to quote American authors and foreign authors, as if we don't have Nigerian authors that are acknowledged elsewhere. So when I was ordered to stand up to acknowledge the contribution of one famous writer, I asked the wife of Oro, who is the guy? And he told me he wrote extensively. I said, okay, I remember him. But if you ask me, in moments like this, when we are talking of those who fought, and I'm talking of fighting, there are different categories of fight. The man who fought and gave his all, sacrificed his business, in my opinion, is the late Gani Fawehimi. I can say, without any contradiction, he died, he gave his all to Nigeria, and he fought to the last minute. He went to Gashua, which was reported to be the most deadly prison in Nigeria, where he has to wrestle with rats and rabbits. I would argue today, from the little I know now about cancer, that some of those exposures may well have contributed to cancer which was wrongly diagnosed in Nigeria before they found out that it was cancer. I hear it was already a stage 4. If we don't stand up in his memory, then I'll withdraw my standing for the other African writer. But while you are standing, I think this should also be shared by Bekon Asom Kuti. This was a professional medical doctor and who gave everything for the struggle. Again, I believe he deserved not more than a minute silent, but that is the way they do it. Sometimes they don't even give 30 seconds. And I do remember, talking of CLO, because it appears today is celebration of CLO. CLO is one out of many. There was one Chima Ubani who recognized that one group can't lay monopoly to the struggle and the commitment to change Nigeria. When I was president of the NSC, we formed what we call Labor Civil Society Coalition, LASCO, so that together, when a plane fly on both engines, it's much more likely to withstand rough weather than when you fly on one engine, even though I'm not an engineer. Ubani left Lagos by road, take a bus, not taxi, to Kano to meet us in a struggle. We both make military speeches there, preparing the people for the D-Day, and together with him we drove from Kano to Maiduguri, got to Maiduguri 11 p.m., and in between armed robbers stopped us so that they can do their part, and then they let us go. On our way back, he offered, because I was going to go to Yobe, he offered that he will return by road and he will drive in NSC1, which is the one I was using. And Chima Ubani of CLO, connecting with the Nigerian labor movement with a shared commitment to civilianize Obasanjo, who didn't know the difference between when he was military leader and a democratic president. Chima paid the supreme price. He died in my official car on his way back to Benin. I told it to Abuja so that I can continue to Lagos. Those are the guys who deserve a standing ovation because they paid the price for Nigeria and for genuine democracy. Thank you for obeying small mind order. You can't sit down. After what you are used to study before judges, including the one you have just dismissed. And I want to start by troubling everyone. If I stop troubling people, then it is time to go back. I am taught early in life never to be intimidated, even by those who seem to have all the wisdom. I need to trouble them with my own lack of wisdom. I ask myself, we say democracy, democracy, democracy. What is the meaning? It is not an ideology. Because even fascists want freedom to carry out their fascism. There are right-wing pro-democracy. There are center. So it is not a bundle of ideas. The only thing you share is that we do not want military dictatorship. But when civilians come, whether we should pursue right-wing economic policies or left-wing economic policies or policies of the center, we define who gets what in a free society. And I'm sure it's clear to us that whether we were united by color to fight colonialism, when the black men take over, we discover that to be black is not to share the same bundle of ideas, which we call democracy. So I think even as we talk about all that we went through, democracy and all of that, it does not mean that we share the same ideology. There are people who wanted that freedom so that they can do what they have to do, and there are others who wanted it so that they can work for the poor. The intentions could be different. I'm not quoting any author, and I don't need to quote any author. This is what I have learned in the journey of life. I was not going to measure his name, but once you measure my name, I must measure your name. I heard Sowore now try to mislead us. He said he contested for presidency of Nigeria and that INEC is of no use. If INEC is of no use, why did you submit your forms to INEC? And this is the way, because in the course of talking, he also said we made a mistake in not contesting in 1999. It is this same cynicism doubt, dismiss, sweeping generalization that misled those or some of those who struggle for democracy to say nothing good can come out of the military. They don't mean it. There will be no election. A rat cannot give birth to a rabbit. There were all kinds of stories. How can the military midwife real democracy? No, it's not possible. Because it's always better to dismiss everything. You get a ladder applause. Then the bad guys decided, since you guys who fight and you keep dismissing those who were in charge of the system you want to change, we will go in there. They went in and they captured power. And they changed the contour of power. They changed the rules of the game. And I can speak with authority why I say, when you dismiss in a very sweeping manner that the country is hopeless, the system is impossible, so we should begin to cry. I stand here to say that every leader, every one of us here, must do nothing to discourage people from believing that there is no future, because the past and the present is not as rousing as we want it to be. The fact of the imperfections, the fight of the gap between where we think we ought to be and where we are, should be enough incentive for us not to give up on ourselves. And that is what took me to Edo State. And I need you to listen to this. When Sowore said Agbakoba should have been president if he had his way, the first thing that I said to myself is, given the level of his courage, why did he say so that time? And then mobilize people and put Agbakoba in front. There is no need to say something when it is no longer useful. It has expired. If you had done that, and there's some other person's support, Ayobe, you are the most courageous woman I have met. We were not see one-on-one, but I read through bourgeois most courage to say things that only people who are not afraid of dying could say when you were president of the CLO. I never visited your house, you never visited my house, but we meet in the marketplace of ideas, and I saw that, no, for you, if anybody can say anything, you can say it even clearer. And the advantage you have, your face was very, very misleading. Because women who are good-looking hardly like trouble. They hardly like trouble. Like me, it's predictable why I like trouble, because even looking at me, I can't look better than I am. However, I tried. I could do makeup, I could do surgery. This man will not grow taller. This man will not expand. And my face can be frightening, as Demitola will tell you. So, but you, Ayo, you inspire many women, and I had used you without your consent to explain to women who want a society, equality, women representation, but those who benefit from another cannot be entrusted to give up on that other. It is those who are victims of the other who must rise to fight for the change. How can you change what benefits you? So with women like you show that you could speak even louder and clearer than a senior advocate, Agbakoba. You did. And what people like you did to us is that because you are so, a senior advocate, when you talk, we who are not even advocates, if they can say so, we are not exactly stupid. That is those of us who come from the factory, blue-collar background. But they said this, sir. You said something, now you notice, I'm not committing on the book, because Oro has a reason not to give me a copy of the book. So I will have to speak based on the faces I have seen and some of the comments that have been made. Correct me if I'm wrong. I read something recently. S.A. and Agbakoba, who taught us to fight for anything we are not satisfied with. I think you were reported as saying Western democracy is not working in Nigeria. You said so. So I said, okay, if Western democracy is not working in Nigeria, unfortunately, I didn't read any following up statement. Shall we go to Chinese democracy? Shall we go to Russia democracy or Ukraine democracy? Which one should we go for? Should we revert back? Should we, like some people have said, we were not right for democracy? Should we bring the old British people back so that we can reconstruct again? And when you say that, there was something that troubled me. But when it matters, Nigeria selects, quote, eminent people. From my own background, every human being born of a woman is eminent. If you know the amount of blood women spill in the course of giving birth to a human being, every human being that lives is eminent because of what went through the production and bringing that man back to life. The Nigerian working class have never influenced the direction of our politics. It was the collection of lawyers. Sorry, I'm almost fighting with the microphone. It was the collection of lawyers that wrote me the law. The 21 wise men, which belongs to the elite, who said, parliamentary system is not good for Nigeria. We need a strong government, a strong center. So we will move from parliamentary system to democracy. Sorry, to presidential system. I don't think the working class were called upon to vote because they were not wise. Those who are wise were those lawyers, big men and women who collaborate with the military. And so, without any referendum, it was decreed as follows, that Nigeria shall move from parliamentary system of government to presidential system. Now, this same elite, when the presidency begin to assert executive powers, including signing executive orders, and is not favoring a segment of the elite, then they begin to say, the center is too strong. We need to restructure. We need to develop devolution of powers, and so on and so forth. So I see a country whose elite keep misleading the working people who look up to the elite for direction. Now somebody just told me that even my friend who was a member of the House was secretary to Uche. I was just told that you were secretary to one PDP governor in Imo. Ihedioha, who stole his vote, and the court found that he stole the vote, and you were secretary to that government, and the way you dismiss PDP, it's okay, you are telling your opinion, but the thing that excites me is that the vehement, the venom with which you dismiss the political class, what we think that you would never have near any of them, whether the victim of stealing or the beneficiary of stealing. What does it matter? They are a bunch of rascals, according to you. I'm just quoting you. So the point I'm making is that we do need to be careful on occasions like this, not to be so we generalize so much that sometimes I ask myself, who are the angels? I think that even in this confusion, it makes sense that we identify some islands of success. Giving up, you shouldn't. Ganifa Himi called on me, not secretly. It was reported by editors that Oshiomhole should go and contest for the presidency of Nigeria. He was supported by Professor Ise Sage and several other rugged, dogged freedom fighters. on account of my modest stewardship as President of the Nigeria Labour Congress. In history, whether anybody like me or not, you too, criticizing, you can be wrong, you can be right. Once we recognize that no one has monopoly of wisdom, but we have a shared commitment about direction, the country, the world need not be impossible. I am a believer that whatever I don't like, I fight to change it. May we all have that spirit. Thank you, Oro, for what you have written. I will read the book.